Meet Noah, the founder of Ruby Hibiscus. Today's interview for Peaks and Valleys. Let's go.
I'm always very candid. Like a lot of it's a valley, man. Like the majority of it is a valley, and you gotta find your way through it. And you get a peak every now and then, but you know it's like a heartbeat chart where like there are the big peaks, and then like they come down and they kind of bounce around a little bit, and then there's the big peak, but it comes down most of the time. For me, very sincerely, it's been sleep lately. Like I know I talked with you about this right when we got here, but like the last few weeks, sincerely, like it's just one of those times where you wake up at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., or 3 a.m. and your mind is racing on just like the most random things. That will be inconsequential to you, by the way, when you actually wake up for the workday at 7 a.m. because you know that there's no control you can have over it whatsoever. But that feeling of like being caught on your mattress and staring at the ceiling and hearing noises and just wanting your brain to quiet down, like just feeling the static electricity of it, is a consistent valley lately. And I think sleep is the most important thing. So I'm trying to navigate that valley as best I can.
Has there been like a specific, like a failed production run or something like that where you've been like, holy shit, like this is...
Of course.
Yeah, I was going to say, nobody's been in production and like had like 100% success rate. But like, is there one moment there that like sticks out where you're like, this day was like, it was just like the worst, right? Like, is there something that sticks out for you there?
Look, there are a million things that stick out to me there.
Yeah.
You touched on production. So like right before Ruby launched, it wasn't even right before. It was while we were in the process of R&Ding our first line, which was our still Hibiscus. Mm-hmm. And we went to the first co-packer. And this was during COVID, mind you. So I had driven 16 hours from New York to Chicago, which is where our first co-packer was. And I had a great ops guy with me. But we did the first run. And the next day, I tried a sample of it. And it tasted like shit. Like, it tasted like just... fried. Like it tasted like it had been fried. Yeah. And I remember the terror of that and that feeling of like, well, that's it. You know, I tried. Like, oh well, now we know. Like, not going to keep doing this. But we found really quickly that the problem was that was the heat tested batch. That was the one that they did literally fry. They put it in extreme heat temperatures for 10 minutes. So you know, there's the peak and valley of both sides where like. I kind of like looked in the mirror and I was like, we're done. This isn't going to work. And like, you know what? Now I'm free. But like, oh, how horrible. This isn't going to work. But now I'm free. And then realizing that the product tasted really good because this wasn't the actual sample, of being like, oh, great. Like it works. Oh, now I have to do this. I have to do this. So again, just like fully just like ping ponging about.
Yep. And like, that's what I say is like, that's why entrepreneurship, it's like a drug, right? And if you're somebody who's really like, you have that ingrained in you, because I do feel like there is just like a lot of people, especially that are in entrepreneurship and stuff, that it's just within them, whether like you almost like, you'll talk about it like it's a negative thing, right? But you're just like addicted to it and it is a drug.
You're psychotic.
Yeah. And that drug comes from like those highs and like, the peaks and those just like absolute like rushes of positivity and like breakthrough that you finally get when like something goes your way or you finally close that account that you've been working on. And so I'll use that as a segue now to ask like what has been like the highest moment for you, like the highest peak so far, right?
I remember, and this is a really direct one. There's another answer that's again more macro along the lines of like not sleeping, but the really direct one was pre-launch. We had sent some samples out to Tim Ferriss's team for his consideration. Just not even consideration; it was a shot in the dark. Like you know, send it out. You know, this is a healthy beverage, no sugar. I think it really aligns with what you look for in products and the ingredients you're looking for. And didn't hear anything back for a week or two. And then out of the blue, I got an email from an email address I didn't recognize. And the subject line was like, Tim Ferriss 5 bullet list. And I was like, okay. And I opened it up and they were like, hey, FYI, like, we're going to be including you in the 5 bullets list this coming week. And I just remember looking at that email and kind of just screaming at my desk, just kind of like, ah! it was joy. Like, it was pure joy. It was just like, holy hell. Like, that's insane. This is someone I really respect, and like, they like my product. And it was before we launched. So that feeling of like, they liked my product was so unique, and it was so visceral. And that was a really joyful moment.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that you want to like bottle up and like that you're constantly chasing as an entrepreneur, right? It's like, I need that next hit, because it's like it's amazing. It's like a feeling that, like, for me, I had never experienced it until I was a founder and having some of those moments. And sometimes it's like the smallest things, right? Like when you take a step back and maybe in 5 years, like, you know, and whatever happens, and, you know, ideally you're still running it or you sold it, whatever, have a very successful outcome. Like, you can look back and maybe there's way bigger moments that you could say, like, oh, there were a couple commas in this section. That's really cool. But to me, like, it's being able to look back at almost those like smaller, like acute moments of just like things that are really cool, almost like bring the most joy, where it's just like, this is just fucking cool. And like, that's why I love it. Right. And like having something like that, you know, and you've watched in one capacity forever now, like recognize the work that you have done, especially so early on, is just like an insane feeling. Right. It's like injecting my veins every day.
100%. And that's, look, again, like, it's the hardest thing in the world though. Like, those moments are few and far between. Like what I was going to say as the more macro answer, and this just happened, is like, you know, a grocery buyer recently had a review and they passed on Ruby. They were like, nope, we're good. Like, submit again. And I felt there was wiggle room. Like, there's sometimes those moments where you're like, I think I can push here. Like, I think I might. It's rare, because like, the worst thing you can do obviously is mess up a relationship with a buyer. But like, if you get a call or if you get an email and it feels like maybe there's an opening, that for me is the most important thing ever, in just seeing if the opening is big enough. And in this case, you know, they passed on us, and I wrote them an email, and it's a real email where I was like, I really think we're going to do well in your store. And not only that, I love your store. Like, it means something to me to have Ruby in your store. And we'll, of course, support with a great promo plan and everything. But I'd really appreciate it if you might reconsider. And she emailed me back, you know, 20 minutes later saying, you know what, like, send samples again. We'll do a panel review and we'll see what you got. And like, those are the things you take with you too. I mean, like, I'm not someone who's ever really, unless the no is hard. Like, I respect the hard no, period. Like, you don't want to piss people off. And a hard no is not something you can push back on. But if there's just like the smallest crevice of something where you're like, I think a little house mouse might be able to like make a hole and nest in there, I will find that crevice and I will see if hopefully I don't piss them off, but like, if I might just be able to find another chance. And when the affirmative comes back, that is a really rewarding moment, because it speaks to tenacity.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you gotten the results back from that like second sample?
No. This happened like probably 20 minutes ago.
Oh, no way. Oh, I love that.
And it's happened before. And usually it does go well the second time.
I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Noah, founder of Ruby Hibiscus. Go check him out on LinkedIn, tagged below. Also check out Ruby Hibiscus, their website, which is going to be linked below as well. And don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the love. Peace.